Hello learners, welcome back to the course on the construction methodology. By this time, I hope you guys have got a basic knowledge about what is cement, what is concrete, what is RCC, what is the pointing going to RCC and all. And by this time, you might have even uh, developed a doubt in your mind, what is the point in going with steel as a reinforcement and why not with the other materials, right? See, we have a lot of materials like we have copper, we have aluminium, we have gold, we have bronze and whatnot. But what is the main intention of taking steel as a reinforcement into the concrete? Why didn't we choose some other material like bronze or aluminium, right? So we are going to understand what is the main reason of taking steel as a reinforcement. So this is how you see in most of the structure. You have a concrete structure and then you embed a rebar into that. So what is the point in going with rebar as a reinforcement? The first reason for that is that the coefficient of thermal expansion of steel and concrete is almost same or by nearby values. So what do you mean by this? Imagine I have a piece of a concrete and right now the temperature of my room is 27 degrees Celsius and I'm increasing the temperature to somewhere close to 55 degrees Celsius. So what has happened? I increase the room temperature from 27 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. So the concrete which I'm holding in my hand, imagine I'm holding a small piece of a concrete, it is trying to expand. And by how much amount it has been expanded? Say it has got expanded by 10 mm. Very good. Now the temperature which was on 27 degrees Celsius, I increased it to 55 degrees Celsius. Now I'll decrease the temperature. Now uh, again the room temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. I'm decreasing the temperature of the room. Imagine at present the temperature of the room is somewhere close to 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. So what has happened? The temperature has come down, right? So what will happen? The concrete which was expanded due to increase in the temperature will now contract. There will be contraction in the concrete, and how much contraction will happen? We'll say it has contracted by 6 mm. Okay, I hope you got a understanding here. That is when I'm increasing the temperature of the concrete, it has expanded. And by how much amount it expanded? Say it has expanded by 10 mm. And when I decrease the temperature, the concrete has got contracted by how much amount? Say it has got contracted by 6 mm. Very good. So now I'll take steel as an example. I mean the rebar. So rebar, what you can see here, I'm taking rebar as an example now. Now again, my room temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. I'm increasing it to 55 degrees Celsius. Now what will happen? The steel or the rebar is also going to get elongated. I mean it's also going to get pulled. So how much amount it is going to get elongated? Concrete got elongated by 10 mm and say steel has got elongated by 8 or 9 mm. We'll consider as 9 mm. Very good. Now I'll decrease the temperature of the room again. Again, I want to bring the temperature of the room to 5 degrees Celsius. So what will happen? The steel will also contract. By how much amount it will contract? Concrete got contracted by 6 mm and say your steel is also going to get contracted somewhere close to 6. We'll say it as 5 mm. So what is happening? If you think you have a concrete and you have a steel, the amount of increase and amount of decrease in the length is almost same. So the main reason of that is that the coefficient of thermal expansion of the steel is 1.1 into 10 to the power of minus 5 degrees Celsius, and that of a concrete is 1.2 into 10 to the power of minus 5 degrees Celsius. So what is going to happen because of this? Because the expansion and contraction of steel and the concrete is almost same, there exists a bond between them. So what will happen tomorrow if you put in a structure where I'm making use of a concrete and a rebar, and even if the temperature increases, right? Of course, the temperature is going to vary daily, right? You will have a very high temperature in the afternoon, and when you go in the night session, the temperature is going to come down. So daily there will be a variation in the temperature. So even though there is a variation in the temperature, the concrete and steel will act as a one unit, right? Even though they try to expand or contract, the amount of expansion and the amount of contraction is almost same. So because of that reason, and because of the coefficient of thermal expansion being same, we're going to use steel as a reinforcement to the concrete. Now, what is the second reason for that? So in the previous classes, we understood that concrete is strong in compression and it is weak in tension, whereas rebar, that is a reinforcement bar, is strong in compression as well as it is strong in tension. So this becomes the second reason for using steel as a reinforcement to the concrete. Now, what is the third reason? The bond between the concrete and the steel becomes strong due to the ribs present on it. So we'll understand this in a very better way. So this is a rebar what I have. You can see the ribs on this, right? So what will happen? Imagine this is a concrete and this is a rebar. When you insert this rebar into the concrete, and what will happen? There is a ribs between them, so the friction between them is very strong. So because of that, the bond will happen. The bond between them is very good. Even if I try to pull this rebar out of the concrete, it's not going to come out easily. So what is the reason? Because this concrete and the rebar and the ribs present on this will help this concrete and the rebar to stick together. As a result of that, the bond between them is very good. So that becomes the third reason of using the rebar and concrete as a rebar has a reinforcement to the concrete. Now, what is the last point? The last point being the steel being ductile in nature makes it a perfect combination with the concrete. Hence, steel is widely used material along with the concrete. So these are the main reasons that we are using steel, that is rebar, has a reinforcement to the concrete. You cannot use aluminum, you cannot use bronze, you cannot use silver because the coefficient of thermal expansion between the concrete and those materials are quite different. What I'm trying to tell here is, if you take for example, we'll say I'm going to use aluminum as a reinforcement to the concrete. If concrete is going to expand by 10 mm, aluminum is going to expand by 5 mm. And if concrete is going to contract by 6 mm, then aluminum will expand only by 1 or 2 mm. So as a result of this, what is going to happen practically? Tomorrow, if there is change in the temperature, concrete is going to come out of your structure and aluminum that is going to stay there. So as a result of that, there is no bond between them. So that is the main reason we are using steel and concrete as a reinforcement. So after this, we are going to see what are the different diameters of the bar that is applicable, that is available in the civil industry. What are its different diameters and what all specifications is written on the bar. So this is the first specification. This is called as a rebar, and we have different grades of rebar. Your Fe. Fe stands for iron, 415 Newton per mm square, 415 grade. Then we have 500 grade. Then we have 550 grade. We have 600 even. We have 650. So these are the different grades of the rebar. So what is those things that we'll understand in the upcoming slides. As of now, we'll try to understand we have different grades of the rebar like Fe415, Fe500, Fe550, Fe600, Fe650. Then we have Fe600D. D stands for ductile. In where when you go for earthquake resistant design and we go for ductile detailing, in that case we have to use a bar which is written as D. The same can be seen here. I hope you guys are able to see this. It's written SD. SD stands for super ductile. In case of earthquake resistant structure, we have to use this bar. So the Amba Shakti is the name of a company which is manufacturing this bar. There are a lot of companies coming. There are a lot of companies which manufactures the rebar. You have Tata, you have Amba Shakti, you have Jindal, and there are many more companies which manufactures the rebar. So what you can see is 500 is a grade of this particular rebar, and this Amba Shakti is the name of the manufacturer. And the first circle, what you can see here, it's written 25 here. So there are different diameters of the bar. What are those diameters that we are going to see in the coming? In the coming slides. So this is the length of the rebar, right? So when you order a bar, this is how you get a bar. It's if you measure the complete length of the rebar, the length of the rebar is 12 meter or 40 feet. So I stay in India. So the standard length that is available in India is 12 meter, or you can call it as 40 feet. Based on your country, based on the way the way your country manufactures, it depends from country to country. Whereas in India, you get the length of the rebar has 12 meter, or you can convert it to feet as 40 feet because 1 meter is 3.23 feet. 3.28 feet. So if you're converting it, you'll get 40 feet. Very good. So we are going to see what are the different diameters of the bar that is available. So as of now, just concentrate on this particular area, that is the bar diameter. These are the different diameters of the bar that is available in the market. We have 8 mm bar, we have 10 mm bar, we have 12 mm bar, we have 16, we have 20, we have 25 diameter bar, we have 28, we have 32, we have 36 and 40. 6 mm bars we don't manufacture these days, but if your country, if the manufacture 6 mm bar, it's well and good. So as of it, in India, we have all diameters of the bar. So it depends on your country what kind of diameter of the bar you are manufacturing. Once we understand once we understood what are the different diameters of the bar that is available, we'll try to find out the area of the bar. How we are going to how we are going to find the area of the bar? It's very simple. From mathematics, we know that it is circular in nature. So we have the area as pi by 4 into d square. Very simple calculation. Pi by 4 into d square is a very simple calculation to find the area of a circular shape. So your rebar is also circular in shape. So what we are going to do is pi by 4 into d square. If I want to find the area of an 8 square bar, it's very simple. 3.142 is a pi value. You have to divide it by 4 and multiply it by 8 square. We are going to get 50. I'm making it as a round figure. Similarly, you do for 10 you're going to get 78, 12 113, 16 you have 201, 20 you have 314, 25 you have 489, and so on. So how are you going to find the weight of the rebar, right? See, I'm concerned with only finding the weight per meter. I don't want to find the entire weight of the, entire length, weight of the entire bar. What I require is only the weight per meter I require. So this is a very raw formula that we use. Even you can have this formula, and as an engineer, you should always know how this formula has come. It's very simple. You have to do density is equal to mass by volume, and density of steel, that is rebar, is 7850 kg per cubic meter, or 78.5 kilonewton per cubic meter. This is how you have to calculate, and finally you are going to get this value. So it is a raw formula I have written here. D stands for the diameter of the rebar that we actually want to find, and 162.5 is like a constant to this. So it's very simple now. Imagine, I want to find the area of, I want to find the weight of the 8 bar. So what I'm going to do, 8 square divided by 162.5. What I'm going to get is 0.39 kg per meter. So one thing we have to understand here, the weight what I'm getting here is only for 1 meter of the bar. So imagine you have 12-meter bar, then how you're going to find the total weight of the bar? It's again simple. Right? 12 multiplied by 0.39. The whatever answer you're going to get, that's the weight of the complete bar. Similar calculations we are going to do for 10, 12, 16, 20 diameter of the bar. So this is how you find the diameter of the bar. This is how we find the area of the bar, and these are the different diameters of the bar that is available, and we have different grades of the bar. I hope this concept is clear, and we'll see you in the next class.